Listen, the Toronto Blue Jays offseason just went nuclear. And if you are not paying attention right now, you are missing everything. We're talking about three massive names floating around the front office, and any one of them could completely flip this roster upside down before pitchers and catchers even report. Joe Ryan might actually be available, Sonny Lewis. And Kate Marte? That name only comes up if Bo Bichette walks, which would send shockwaves through the entire organization. You already know what happens when the Blue Jays make a big move. They don't hesitate. They proved it when they grabbed Shane Bieber at the deadline. They showed they're willing to be aggressive when the moment demands it. And right now, with everything up in the air, with Bo's future uncertain and the rotation needing serious reinforcement, this front office has decisions to make that will define the next 5 years of Blue Jays baseball. Let's start with Joe Ryan, because this one is real. The Minnesota Twins are actively listening to offers, and Jeff Passan or Pum, they're willing to move either Ryan or Pablo Lopez. When a team starts tearing down their roster like Minnesota did, trading away Correa, Duran, and Jax, nothing stays sacred. Everything becomes available. If the price is right, Ryan finished last season with 13 wins, a 3.42 ERA, 194 strikeouts, and only 39 walks. That's elite command. That's ice in his veins. That's exactly what the Blue Jays were missing during those brutal stretches last year when the rotation couldn't find consistency. He's 29 years old with multiple years of team control remaining, which means he's not some rental piece you gamble on for 3 months. He's a legitimate top of the rotation arm who slots perfectly between Shane Bieber and Kevin Gausman without disrupting the entire pitching staff's rhythm. But here's the reality check. Minnesota knows what they have, and they're not giving him away for mid-tier prospects. We're talking about a substantial package here. Multiple top prospects, possibly someone who's already major league ready. The Twins will demand value because Ryan is their most attractive trade chip, and contending teams across baseball are watching this situation closely. The question becomes whether Toronto is willing to pay that price without completely gutting their farm system. They've got depth in the minors, but T here is always a line you don't cross, especially when you are trying to maintain organizational strength for the long haul. If the front office believes their championship window is open right now, and they should because this roster is exactly the kind of move that signals they're going for it. Now let's talk about Sonny Gray because this situation is fascinating. Chaim Bloom, the new head of baseball operations in St. Louis, publicly acknowledged that the Cardinals might be willing to move veteran pieces, and Gray's name was front and center in those discussions. When a team president says a player is comfortable but open to different possibilities, that's not random. That's laying the groundwork for legitimate trade conversations. Grange isn't just some veteran hanging on. He's posted over 200 strikeouts in back-to-back seasons. He commands 7 different pitches. His sweeper and curveball remain absolutely filthy, and he doesn't need to throw 98 miles per hour to dominate hitters. He's a cerebral pitcher who understands how to attack lineups, how to adjust mid-game, how to eat innings when the bullpen needs rest. That's leadership. That's stability. That's exactly what a rotation needs when things start going sideways in August and September. He's 36 years old, which means 2 things. First, he won't cost the same prospect capital as a younger ace like Ryan. Second, he brings immediate credibility and experience that you simply cannot teach. John Schneider would love having someone like Gray in the clubhouse, someone who can mentor younger pitchers and handle pressure situations without flinching. The Cardinals are at a crossroads. They're trying to figure out if they're rebuilding or retooling, and if they decide to go full rebuild, Gray becomes one of their most valuable trade pieces. For Toronto, landing Gray without sacrificing their top prospects would be a massive win. He'd provide that anchor presence in the rotation, someone who can pin a break when the schedule gets brutal. But if St. Louis asks too much for a 36-year-old, even one performing at an elite level, Toronto might walk away. Age matters in these negotiations, and the front office has to balance immediate impact with long-term value. Gray is absolutely capable of helping this team win right now, but only if the price makes sense. And then 2, here's Ketel Marte, which only becomes a real conversation if the unthinkable happens and Bo Bichette doesn't return. Marte is one of the best offensive second basemen in baseball. He's a two-time All-Star who carried Arizona on his back last season, hitting 283 with 28 home runs and 72 RBIs in 126 games. That's elite production at a premium position. If Bo walks, Toronto can't just patch the lineup with a stopgap solution and hope for the best. They need a statement move, something that tells the league they're still a contender, still capable of making noise in October. Marte would be that move. He'd slide into second base. Addison Barter could move around the infield, and suddenly you've got a Marte Vlad Springer core that keeps this offense dangerous. The Diamondbacks won't trade Marty easily. He's too valuable, too productive, too important to their own plans. But Arizona has dealt with inconsistency, and when a team can't find its footable under the right circumstances. The asking price would be enormous, probably multiple premium prospects. But if Toronto believes they're one piece away from staying competitive in the American League East, Marte is one of the few players on the market who can deliver that kind of immediate impact. The tactical fit works too. John Schneider could shift the defensive linemen, keep the lineup balanced, and maintain offensive firepower throughout the order. Marte doesn't disappear in September. He doesn't fade when the pressure mounts. He's proven he can handle big moments, and that's exactly what Toronto needs if they lose Bo Butt. Here is the thing. This only happens if Bo leaves. If he re-signs, Marte stays in Arizona, and this whole discussion becomes irrelevant. Everything hinges on that decision, which makes this offseason feel like standing on the edge of a cliff, waiting to see which way the wind blows. So where does that leave us? 3 names, 3 completely different paths forward. Joe Ryan gives you youth and control at the top of the rotation. Sonny Gray provides veteran stability and leadership. Ketel Marte keeps the offense elite. If Bo walks, each move represents a different philosophy, a different vision for how this team competes over the next several years. The front office is facing decisions that will define this era of Blue Jays baseball. The window is open. The roster has talent. The fan base is ready, but execution matters, and hesitation could cost everything. This isn't the time to play it safe or hope things work out. This is the time to be aggressive, to make the moves that separate contenders from pretenders. Blob your thoughts in the comments. Which move should Toronto prioritize? What matters more, rotation depth or offensive firepower? And if you want every update, every rumor, every breaking story this offseason, subscribe and stay locked in. And Blue Jays Nation needs to be ready.